Hey folks, this is Kelani. One of my favourite parts of a new expansion is playing around with all of the stuff added into professions. The start of a new expansion is the most fun and most engaging time when it comes to professions because we get all new raw materials, new recipes, and the playing field is completely reset. Everyone is after the same new stuff, everyone needs the same new stuff, and everyone is trying to figure out the best ways to use everything. It's so exciting, but professions usually go through quite a lot of change going into a new expansion, so I'm on the hunt for the best professions to pick up for Battle for Azeroth. Let's have a look what different combinations you can take for a variety of reasons, how professions can work together to really boost their worth, and what professions I think are going to be the best in Battle for Azeroth. Remember that we're still in beta, so everything is subject to change and may not reflect the finished product. I also have something super special to talk about at the end of the video, so be sure to stay tuned. The first question you should ask yourself when looking for some great professions is, what do you want these professions to do? Because depending on your answer, you may want to pick up a gathering profession with a crafting profession to kit yourself out, something to help you save gold in the long run, or maybe something to fill your gold bags to buy up that 5 million gold auction house mount. So let's break it down a little bit and look at being self-sufficient first. I would say picking up a gathering profession is going to be pretty smart, whether that's herbalism, mining or skinning is depending on you and what you want to do with it. I would say pick up a gathering profession at least for the start of an expansion because you can supply your own professions and alts with materials fairly easily, or you can make bank with all the raw materials you collect. With how much gold people have these days, I wouldn't be surprised to see herbs, ores and skins being sold for ridiculous amounts of gold in the first few weeks. We're talking hundreds of gold per item, thousands for anything rare. I remember back at the start of Legion, Starlight Rose prices were crazy high to begin with, but everyone had spare gold from the previous expansion and from leveling, so people were happy to fork it over for goods and services. I think the best gathering profession for straight up gold would be Herbalism because it supplies some of the key professions which are tied to raid consumables like alchemy and inscription. But let's talk about picking up a gathering profession to help fuel your crafting professions. If you want to be able to make your own gear, you're looking at tailoring, leatherworking, and blacksmithing. If you take tailoring, I would recommend taking enchanting or taking one of the gathering professions and just selling your materials to buy any cloth you need. Leatherworking should be paired with skinning and blacksmithing with mining. These professions allow you to craft some okay gear. For comparison's sake, the heroic dungeon loot is 325 item level, and the first raid on normal drops 355 item level loot. Crafting professions allow you to create item level 300 gear, 355 gear, 370 gear, and 385 gear. The 300 stuff is really easy to make, but the ones which are on par with raid gear seem like they're going to be very difficult to craft. They require raid specific materials which are all bind on pickup. That means to create raid equivalent gear, you need to be raiding already. Some of them also require a huge amount of the raid specific crafting material, 250 for the mythic level gear. Chances are you're going to get gear from the actual raid faster than you can collect all the required materials. The huge kicker is any loot above item level 300 is bind on pickup, so you won't even be able to sell it. This tells me that crafting gear for yourself isn't really all that viable, or at least I wouldn't recommend taking a profession for that sole purpose. I would instead look at the unique rewards each profession offers outside of crafted gear, which for these professions honestly isn't a lot, and the useful stuff like stirrups and hoof plates aren't bind on pickup, so they can be purchased from other players. One exception might be tailoring paired with enchanting, because you can use your cheap tailoring crafts to fuel your early enchanting material requirements. Enchanting is always a great profession to take into a new expansion because everyone wants the new enchants. There's lower and higher tier ring enchants and weapon enchants in Battle for Azeroth. There's also glove enchants to speed up profession stuff and some wrist enchants to increase your Hearthstone's efficiency. The wrist enchants are for enchanters only, so not many enchants to play around with, but the higher level ring enchants and all weapon enchants require some Expulsum, which is the new Blood of Sargeras material. That's going to come from a variety of sources, just like Blood of Sargeras, so gathering, world quests, etc., but this can also come from the new salvage mechanic in BFA. You can scrap crafted items for roughly 50% of the materials required to craft the item, and you have a chance to get some Expulsum. So you can disenchant your tailoring crafts for the enchanting materials, or scrap it for a chance at Expulsum. We'll have to see just how rare Expulsum ends up being to see whether or not this is going to be worth it in the long run, but enchanting usually makes quite a bit of gold, and with most of the enchants requiring a bind on pickup Expulsum material, having it on an alt seems like it's going to be quite a pain in the rear. With that being said, I think the best professions for self-sustainability would be herbalism and alchemy, especially if you do any form of raiding. One of the largest drains on your gold pouch is going to be raid consumables, but if you whip them up yourself, not only do you save yourself a lot of gold, but you won't have to worry about flasks or potions ever again. Just pick up any herbs you come across while leveling, world questing, or farting around in the world, and you should be golden. But you can also go one step further and sell any excess herbs or potions you end up creating. If you only need 10 flasks for your weekly raids, but you're able to craft 20 per week without any extra effort, that's 10 flasks on the auction house, making you a bit of gold on the side. If you want to actively start herbing to create flasks or potions to sell, alchemy is one of the most reliable gold making professions every expansion. The rank 3 recipes, which allow you to proc extra potions and flasks, also aren't tied to any random element this expansion. You can buy them from a vendor when you get the required reputation. So no worrying about reaching rank 3, which was the main cause for people to lose gold on alchemy early on in Legion. But we're getting a little closer to my other question. Which profession will make me the most gold? Sure, being self-sufficient is fine and dandy, but if you can make enough gold to just buy everything else you need, then surely that's the better option, right? Well, making gold with professions isn't always a walk in the park. You have to put more effort in and maybe learn a few add-ons. But if you're interested in making gold, then our options for professions can be a little different. Usually, jewel crafting is up there with the big boys when it comes to making gold, and while I wouldn't disagree, from what we've seen on the beta right now, you can cut every rare and uncommon gem without the need of bind-on pickup materials. The only exception might be the epic gems, but we don't have a recipe for the Kraken's Eye itself yet. The cuts for Kraken's Eye don't require any expulsum, but it's probably safe to assume creating the uncut gem will require some expulsum or other BOP material, but I'm going to have an alt take care of all my jewel crafting needs anyway. Herbalism and alchemy can certainly make you a good chunk of gold, especially if you get lucky with the procs, but they wouldn't be my first choice. I would take your herbs and put them towards Inscription. There's a few reasons for this. First, Inscription has so many bits and bobs they can create in battle for Azeroth, either to use for yourself, help out your friends, or to make a boatload of gold. Of course, you have your talent-changing tomes and codexes, as well as a handful of new glyphs, but there's also the new contracts which everyone will be wanting to make use of. Contracts allow you to funnel world quest reputation into specific factions, so if you really want to hit Exalted with a certain faction ASAP, you're going to need a contract. Contracts seem fairly easy to make, but they do require expulsum, so that bind-on pickup material is going to plague you just a little bit. There's also new war scrolls, which are lesser versions of the raid-wide buffs that have been handed out again. There's one for Agi and Strength, one for stamina, and one for intellect. If you have the appropriate classes, sure, great, you might not need these, but there will be raids without one of these buffs, and they're the folks you can sell these scrolls to. I think they're going to be more important for Mythic Plus though. Mythic Plus has become so insanely popular. More people are running Mythic Plus dungeons than are raiding at this point, and having only 5 group members vastly increases the chances of not having one of the classes providing these buffs. In a timed environment, every little helps. I reckon war scrolls are going to sell like hotcakes, but they're also very valuable to have for yourself. On the topic of raid consumables, there's also going to be new Vantus runes, which are always very popular when a new raid comes out, so yet another source of income from scribes. Then we have Dark Moon cards. I don't think there's been an expansion where Dark Moon card trinkets haven't been incredibly powerful early on. Maybe one or two of the decks end up kind of useless, but at least one is always really strong. You can make yourself an OP trinket early on in the expansion and sell the rest for massive profits. War scrolls and Dark Moon cards do require expulsum, which means Inscription will probably benefit from being on a character you're actively playing a lot. The main other reason to take Inscription on your main over Alchemy is that all the potion and flask recipes can be made on an alt. There's no bind on pickup materials whatsoever, so you can just trade everything over you need, make your potions and flasks, and boom, you're done. The only downside I see is the higher ranks being tied to reputations means that an alt alchemist will either have to do quite a bit of legwork to get those ranks, or you'll have to just craft without the highest ranks available. That's your call, entirely dependent on what you want to do. But bear in mind those rank 3 potions and flasks will come from very specific reputations, so you can target the ones you need with contracts to make it a lot faster. So if you want to be self-sufficient, pick up a gathering profession in either alchemy or enchanting. If you really want to craft your own gear, feel free to pick up tailoring, leatherworking or blacksmithing, just don't expect to get all that much from them. If you're wanting to make bank early on, definitely pick up a gathering profession. If you want to be lazy and just sell all your raw materials, pick up both Herbie and mining and sell everything you get as quickly as you can. If you want to focus more on gold making via using your materials, I would strongly suggest Herbie and Inscription. That's the 2 I'll be picking up for my main, and I'll have alt sort out my jewel crafting, enchanting and alchemy needs sometime later on. And that's it for this video, but I did say I had something special for the end. Blizzard has been kind enough to supply me with a handful of beta keys, which I'm going to hand out to all of you lovely people. There's a few rules for this giveaway, so listen closely. To enter, all you need to do is comment below telling me what you're most excited about in Battle for Azeroth, and include the hashtag beta key at the start. If you don't have the hashtag, your comment won't be entered into the giveaway. Duplicate entries will be disqualified, and winners will be decided after 48 hours via random selection. Winners will be contacted via YouTube private message, so be sure to keep an eye on that. There's 10 keys up for grab this time around, so good luck. You don't have to be subscribed to win, but I'll be doing a few more beta key giveaways just like this one, so if you want a chance at those, subscribing is probably your best bet to catching the videos early enough. But that's it for this video. What professions do you think you'll take into Battle for Azeroth? Are you aiming for gold, or just to keep yourself supplied? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon. If you want to hop on that train, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.